All right, ladies and gentlemen, NASCAR weight. Chase race number 1 of 10, the Sylvania 300 at New Hampshire as we kickstart the playoffs here tonight on the channel. Our final 10 races of the season before getting into the custom schedule seasons on this game where things will be a little bit more competitive than what you might have seen to this point. But whatever competitiveness that we showed in the first 26 races now doesn't matter because we're the number one seed. We have reset everything. And now it's time to go for the championship over these final 10 races of the season. I think we've got a good shot to win here tonight. I did win at New Hampshire. Actually, just last week, we ran the first race at New Hampshire for the Cup Series schedule and actually led all 300 laps in that race. So used the same setup that I basically ran. Didn't really touch anything. Just ran a couple laps of practice to get familiar with the car. Laid down an absolute heater of a qualifying lap. And we're on the pole for today's race. Going to try to do what I did last time and go wire to wire. There was some pit strategy that kind of led me into being able to do something like that. There were 5 cautions in the first race that we had at New Hampshire earlier in the season. Again, last week. And as far as the Truck Series was, we had 12 cautions in a 200-lap race there. And I did not run a New Hampshire Busch Series race at all. So we'll see what today will bring as far as the caution side of things go. Maybe we have more, maybe we have less. But thanks for everybody tuning in. Let's get this Thursday night started. Thursday Night Thunder is back. And we shall see if Casey Kane will go 1 for 1 to start the chase. 11 wins on the season so far. Green flag is in the air. We're already underway. And what will be another 300-lap race at the Magic Mile. Jimmy Johnson starting on the front row in second. Our teammate Elliott Sadler with a good starting spot. We're the only Evernham Dodge of the 3 that actually made the chase. And again, we do have the number 1 seed, which gives us a 90-point lead to start things off. San Diego Street Course, yep. I saw that was announced earlier today. Wade, Ethan, Shahir Gaming, Bam Hall, Matthew Dorter Bruno, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Michael Turner, also welcome to the stream. .262 on that last lap. I got down into the 27.7s in qualifying. My first lap was a 27.8 and I got the pole. I'm like, man, that was pretty good. And then I topped it by a few hundredths of a second on the second lap when I didn't think I was going to be able to. Yeah, it should be a 3 pit stop race. Kind of overdrove the corner through 1 and 2. I mean, if I can go wire to wire and keep anybody else from getting any bonus points, for leading any laps, that would be awesome. Yeah, we should be able to go around 80 laps on a full fuel run. 78 to 79 is what I ran the first time we had our New Hampshire race. 27.805 that last lap. I think I can top what I did in qualifying at some point in the race today. 300 laps to do it. Obviously, it's going to be earlier in the run rather than later. Lap traffic's going to be a problem today? No, I'll be pretty good getting through traffic. What little bit we will probably catch. Yeah, we've got a hot rod. We should dominate this race. It's actually really nice that the first 2 races are New Hampshire and Dover. New Hampshire, the only race I went wire to wire in any one of the top 3 series. And already coming in with the #1 seed and having that 90-point lead. This is huge for us. And I won at Dover in the first race with a lot of laps led, though that was mostly on strategy because that was one of our couple fuel mileage races. We had 1 caution in that race, and it came out in a weird spot at the edge of a pit window, which I didn't really think it was at the time because we were still a couple pit stops out from the finish, but it ended up working out perfectly. What do I think about Kyle Larson's performances in recent weeks? Not good, that's for sure. Well, he's only had 1 top 10, I think, in the last 5 races. It has not been Kyle Larson-esque, that's for sure. Hendrick Motorsports as a whole, outside of Chase Elliott, has been down over the last month or so. It's not just a Kyle Larson problem. Like, we've seen Alex Bowman free fall in the point standings, and now he's been on the bubble for the cutoff spot for the playoffs now. He's bled a lot of points through the month of June. He had that top 5, what was that, Chicago? He had the top 5 run, or top 10. That's what it was top 10. So he finished like 7th or 8th. But other than that, I mean, he did not have a good set of races before that, and even last week was mediocre. At best, finished 25th, and he ran outside the top 20 the whole day. But yeah, Larson hasn't been great. William Byron, up until last week, was on a cold streak also. And Chase Elliott's been kind of carrying the banner, at least for the summer, for Hendrick Motorsports. Had a win in Atlanta. Had another top 3 last weekend at Sonoma. I think it was at Mexico City he had a top 5 also. There's another top 5 in there. Maybe it was Chicago. But yeah, he's definitely been the best at Hendrick over the last 5 to 6 weeks. I catch Monday Night Raw Monday. I did not watch any of Monday Night Raw live, but I've watched some of the highlights since then. I know a lot of what happened, at least. Actually, earlier today, I saw an upload onto YouTube from Jimmy Kimmel Live that I guess Jelly Roll was hosting it, and obviously he's going to be in a match at SummerSlam, tagging with Randy Orton against Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre, and they did a segment on Jimmy Kimmel Live, which I thought was kind of cool. Like, that's how you break into the mainstream media right there. Like, if you're going to get, like, actors and celebrities and all that involved in pro wrestling, that's the best way to do it. Because that's the idea when you do bring celebrities in, is to hopefully catches the lure of somebody that is a fan of, for instance, Jelly Roll and his music, that doesn't watch professional wrestling and might check out SummerSlam for that reason. And then from there, you hope that they get hooked and they stick around. So they're definitely going above and beyond with this storyline just a couple weeks in. And I'm all here for it. Granted, it was a short build anyway, because you only have like 3 or 4 weeks to build for SummerSlam, but they're doing a great job with it. Yeah, Roman's back. Weather in Dover does not look promising for the weekend. I saw Sunday specifically. Now, this was, I think, Tuesday. I saw it was a 65% chance of rain on Sunday. I don't know what time of the day. When I get close enough and I can look at the 48-hour, hour-by-hour forecast on my phone, I'll get a better gauge of about what time it's supposed to race on Sunday, because it doesn't really do great justice. You see 65%, that could be in the morning. Could be like overnight Saturday through Sunday morning. And then they can race in the afternoon, or maybe it rolls in later on Sunday. It just can't be during that like early to mid-afternoon kind of time slot. Specifically. They haven't had a Monday race all season. Dover just has terrible luck with that. They moved the date, and they still find a way to get rain. Now, last year they didn't have rain, but that was the first time, I believe, in 3 years that they actually had a race start and end on a Sunday. Because I believe the 2 years before that, they raced on a Monday, which would have been 2023 and 2022. And then I was there in 2021. That was on a Sunday. And then 2020 was a doubleheader with no fans. So yeah, the Dover crowd's definitely been missing out for about the last 5 years or so. Them and Michigan have been like the two tracks that they just absolutely have the worst luck with rain. Post-COVID specifically. But even before COVID with Michigan, like 2019, the June race was rained out, rain on a Monday. And then 2018, the June race was rain shortened. Started and finished on a Sunday, but they only got barely past halfway. Made it official. Rescheduled the start time to beat the weather. Well, if they do that, they need to give me enough of a warning because I have to work until noon on Sunday. If they do adjust the start time, I think they can only move it up an hour, and they have until 24 hours before the drop of the green flag to move it up. So they would have to make that decision before, I think they're scheduled to start just after 2, so they'd have to announce before 1 o'clock in the afternoon Saturday that they're moving the start time up an hour. And that's just because of the TV purposes. TNT would already be airing something, in that time slot anyway. The reason why they can get away with moving it up 1 hour is because there's a pre-race that would be on TNT, for instance, for NASCAR. So instead of just having the countdown to green, it would just be strictly the race starting right away at 1 with no pre-race. And we've seen them do it before. Staying in Nashville the night after the concert, that's a smart move. Yeah, that'd be a terrible idea to just drive after the concert's over. Honestly, when I went to that concert a couple months ago in Grand Rapids, I don't even know if I would assume I probably mentioned that I went to one. But anyway, this was back in April. And driving back that night after the show, I was a little tired. Not gonna lie. Wasn't at any risk of falling asleep behind the wheel. It didn't help the person I was with was sleeping for about the back half of that drive. But that was about a 3.5 hour drive for me. I also worked earlier that morning too. I worked a 6-hour shift from 6 a.m. to noon, so I was up from a quarter till 5 in the morning. I didn't sleep great the night before that. Dover has no lights. You are correct. Yeah, no lights at Dover, so. The good news is with them pushing the date back into the summer instead of it being in early May like it had been in recent years, they have more daylight to work with. So they probably have until about 9 p.m. to get the race in. Probably closer to 8:30 being right on the East Coast for sundown, but even still, they have until after 8 o'clock to actually finish the race. So if it rains for a couple hours early in the afternoon, they'll have plenty of time to still get it in if they can get it started by about 5 o'clock. That's probably the window. If they can't get the race started before 5, then they're pushing it, but yeah, they got a few hours to work with, and we know NASCAR will wait it out if they have to. Unless they've already called it by the time we're supposed to go live at 1:30 on Sunday, we'll still be streaming live commentary on Sunday at 1:30, and I will be able to do live commentary on Monday because I don't work on Monday, so we'll still give it a go. Should have stayed overnight. So the only I would have, but the person I was with had to go to work the next morning, which I tried to get them to call off because I'm like, we're gonna be so tired. If they had not had to work the next morning, then I definitely would have stayed overnight. But yeah, there was no way. Like I had to get home that night. Go figure they were late for work because they overslept through their alarm, which, you know, doesn't surprise me because they would have only had to go in on like 3 hours sleep anyway. They were new to the job at the time, so that's why they didn't request off any more time than they needed to. I understood the logic of thinking behind that, but I tried to warn them. I'm like, you're going to be so beat tomorrow. There's no way. Like, that was going to be a rough day even if you woke up without the couple extra hours before you realized that you were late. Dean Tate, thanks for tuning in. What got up Larson? Wait. What got Larson up a creek? I don't know what you mean by that. This is not iRacing. This is NASCAR 08. This is console video game on a PS2. I don't have iRacing specifically. I've been asked before if I'll ever do it. I honestly don't know. I get the thinking behind it, and it's cool for people who don't have the affordability to be able to race actual cars or anything in the real world, to have an opportunity of any kind to try to test and drive race cars for real. So that's kind of how they get their racing fix in. I raced from my youth years into my really late teen years. So I stopped racing when I was 19. So I can't replace that unless I were to like actually get behind the wheel of a car again. So iRacing really doesn't do it for me. That's a lot of the reason why I really don't have any desire to get into it. Because if anything, that's just going to give me an itch to just try to do the real thing again. Which I know is more than likely not going to happen. If I actively tried to, push into doing something like that, sure. But I can tell you if I was racing every weekend, there wouldn't be a YouTube channel, that's for sure. And I'm comfortable doing what I'm doing now. And doing the live commentary streams every weekend and talking NASCAR as it's happening. I feel like that's more of an avenue for me to be able to do in the long run than to try to find a way to get behind the wheel and do like local short track racing somewhere. Just that's not going to really... There's so much money that would go into that too, that even if I did do it, it wouldn't... Logically, it just doesn't make sense in my brain. Having done something like that, I would have to have a lot of sponsorship opportunity there, and I don't think that I can get that. Maybe someday, I'll leave it open down the road. I'm never going to say never with it, but yeah, I don't plan on really doing the iRacing route though. New Hampshire race ran into darkness due to rain. Yeah, they were very close to the end anyway. Didn't they only shorten the distance by it wasn't by many laps. They practically ran the whole thing. Drag race cars for more than 20 years. Hard habit to kick, I bet. I didn't really have a say at the time. My grandpa owned all my stuff, and he was retiring. And I wasn't a mechanic by any means. I was a driver. I would do the little quote unquote working on the kart that I did, changing the oil. I dirt race, so cleaning the tires up in between heats and features and stuff like that. Like, I did that stuff while he was tinkering around with the engine and everything else. That was all him. Like, could I learn to do that stuff? Yes, but if I was on my own doing that, like, I would need somebody there. There'd be no doubt about it. I would need another person or two there. I'd be hustling around just to get back out there in time in between each heat. I mean, especially if we were making major adjustments, because we were doing that as it was. You know, on crunch time mode, utilizing every minute we possibly had. Very little time that we actually didn't have to make any adjustments on specific nights to try to keep up with the track, because by the time you hot lap on the track would change so much from 5, 6 o'clock in the evening till the time the feature started at night. So we were constantly having to make adjustments. Plan for the pit stop, 4 tires, top off on fuel, and yeah, that's it. I don't have to make any adjustments. I mean, we've got great speed in this thing. And this is kind of what happened the last time. We really didn't have more than about a 4.5-second lead in the first New Hampshire race we ran. We had 5 cautions throughout the course of the race. I'd assume we're going to get yellows today, too. This track on this game in particular breeds some cars crashing on the AI side of things, so I'm sure we'll get cautions. We're going to jump out. We're going to get that early lead, and we're just going to sit on it. I'm still running as hard of laps as I can. I just kind of maintain after a little while. Like, that last lap was only 4/10 slower than my fastest lap of the race. This lap might be a little bit slower than that because I kind of skirted the tires entering turn 1. New Hampshire at night would definitely be interesting. I'm just going to assume that this track is out in the middle of nowhere. I've never been to New Hampshire, both the state and the racetrack. Like, population-wise, what's the biggest city in the state of New Hampshire? Like, it can't be that big. I know the state itself isn't very big. More north to south, it's decently long, but east to west is super short. I doubt Loudon's very big, which is where New Hampshire Motor Speedway is. Catching up the lap traffic subtly. Well, there's our first caution, lap 47. So this is interesting. I'm going to stay out of the pits here. I would assume everybody else also will stay out of the pits. Looks like AJ Allmendinger going to bring out the first caution. He had quite a bit of damage on the nose of his race car, so I'm sure it was a debris yellow that we're not going to see on this replay. All right, well, lap 51. I didn't hear anything from the crew chief saying that anybody pitted. So, first caution at lap 47. Sure that won't be the last single file restart. We did not catch any lap traffic yet. Our pacing is still pretty good. I mean, knowing this is only a 3-stop race, if for whatever reason I got off sequence because I would pit and everybody else stayed out, we could easily drive through the field. Now, being back in traffic, knowing that we're going to see more cautions because of the way the AI race at this racetrack, especially back in the pack, that part of it would be the only thing that's risky that could take us out of a shot to win. Be damaging the race car, which I don't really plan on damaging this thing on my own. Has anyone blown an engine? I don't think so. I haven't passed anybody that's blown an engine unless they got to pit road pretty quickly. But I also haven't really looked up at the leaderboard much. And Jimmy Johnson's basically been in second place the whole time. He started second. Nope. All 43 cars still in the race and all in the lead lap. Reed Sorensen's in last and 43rd, still on track. I mean, it'd be nice if every track had the ability to be able to have lights just for the weather purposes, that if you had rain during an afternoon race, be the ability to run at night and do whatever you could to not be able to run on a Monday. Because Monday races, I mean, you're guaranteeing that there's going to be a large percentage of fans that are not going to be able to return back the next day. I'd be one of the people that would call off of work if I had to. Like, I'm not missing the race, especially when I paid for it. Last thing I'm going to do is go to see something, and then not be able to see it. I'm going to get my money's worth. Especially if I'm traveling to go see that said thing. There was one year when Michigan ran on a Monday. That was a 2019 race. It actually worked that day. They didn't race until 5 o'clock in the evening the next day on a Monday. And I was like, oh, I could actually work my full shift, because at the time I was working 4 a.m. to 1. Monday through Friday. So I worked my full shift. Got off of work at 1. Gave me 4 hours to get to the track. And I was only, from where I worked, it was a little bit further distance. It was probably closer to a 2-hour drive. But just went straight there. I had no problem getting there. Plenty of time. Kind of sucked not getting back home until like almost 9, 10 o'clock, but then having to go back into work again the next day, but I made it happen. New Hampshire's population's 1.4 million people. Yeah, that's pretty small for a whole state. I mean, there's cities in the state of Ohio that have more people than that. This is just Ohio. I really don't know to what point, if we catch a caution, when I pit. I feel like we're getting close enough now. I might as well just pit if we catch another yellow. So we're only going to be going about 20 laps or less now. The other side of it. I was contemplating pitting during that last stop. I mean, I'm not worried about using too many sets of tires. Like, we pit 4 times. No big deal. We'll have 3 sets left, but still the idea of you use a set now, and then you're still short, so then you're going to be burning basically an extra set. You might want another set for later in the race if a similar circumstance happens again. Which I would have that extra set, I guess, technically still. 300-mile race makes the strategy a little bit more open for us. We're not crunching like we would on a 500 or 600-mile race to have the tires to be able to make it to the end. Yeah, AJ's definitely got significant enough damage. Not only he lost the debris, but he's back to 42nd now, too. It's hard to tell exactly where he was in the field at the time of the yellow, but I don't think he was that far back. By the way, I have not looked at the driver polls at all today. I meant to do that while I was on lunch earlier, and I forgot. But those will be announced at the end of the stream today, the winners. And then I will get the second set of polls up, which would be the rest of the first round for the Cup Series. So I have 10 polls for the first round for the Cup Series on this game. So I had 5 yesterday. The next 5 will be today. So if you didn't see any particular drivers, that would be why. I didn't want to put 10 of them up. Felt like 5 was a good sample size number. We kind of drag it out a little bit. We still have 9 more of these streams after tonight yet to go, so. No idea who's looking like they're going to win a specific poll. More debris on AJ. So 2 AJ Allmendinger debris cautions. I'm definitely pitting now. I would assume it's going to drag everybody else in. I'd be shocked if they stay out. No adjustments, 4 tires and full tank of fuel. This aerial shot's too close to the car. I can't see if anybody else is on pit road behind us or not. But, yeah. I mean, for sleep purposes, it would probably be in your best bet to stay in Indy that night after the race if you're going to Detroit straight after, because that's going to be good 6 hours after the race is over. At least it'll get done way earlier than the concert, I guess, so you could do it. Like, theoretically speaking, I could do it, too. My drive's a little bit shorter than that, but I was saying 6 hours given the race traffic getting out of there. Well, we didn't lead every lap in the race today. Jimmy Johnson going to get 5 bonus points for winning the race off pit road, so everybody came down for the first stop of the race. Restarted at lap 72. We're going to get right back to the lead on Johnson. First lap following the restart, all clear off turn 4. Got by 2 of them in the restart zone. or I should say the front stretch getting into turn 1, and then got by Johnson through 3 and 4, and right back in the lead again. I knew we had speed. I wasn't worried about losing the race off of pit road. Sucks that I'm not going to go wire to wire like I did in the first race at New Hampshire, but the timing of the yellow there, just I couldn't pass up hitting the pits. I mean, we would have had to pit in about 10 laps or so anyway after the restart. Set down my fastest lap of the race, 27.522. That was faster than my pole lap by over 0.2 of a second. Wow. I don't know what the track record at New Hampshire is, but that would probably be it. Granted, the track record doesn't get set in the race, but even still. Standing in the gas super early there. I'm really trying to push hard and get this lap time. I know I could be a little bit quicker. Oh, I was close. I was just over 100th off. Got the fresh tires. I'm trying to take advantage of it. I know I'm not going to be burning my equipment up too much right now by doing this. That was even slower. I don't know if I'm going to beat that 27.522. That's going to be tough to beat. Kyle Lance, thanks for tuning in. Tied my best lap. I don't think this is going to be very good. Try to use a little bit more apron. I feel like it helps the car turn just a little bit. Especially if I only get the left sides down there. I don't think this is going to do it. I didn't get through. Oh, it was. Okay. I didn't think I got through 3 and 4 very well. 27.505. What a lap. Can I get into the 27.4s? Skirting the tires. Abusing them for the lap time. Bam. 27.406. It was almost a 10th quicker. I buried that car off into turn 3. That was right back to the 27.5s. It's not going to hold. What a lap. Well, I knew the 27.5 was going to be tough to beat. 27.406. going to be even tougher to beat. You know, it's a fun game when you're out on your own, you're leading. Just try to put down the best lap you can. Makes it more entertaining for yourself. I'm trying. Like, I'm really pushing as hard as I can to try to put down the best lap time possible. Might be abusing my tires a little bit. Well, caution's out. Third yellow of the race. We're probably going to have more than 5, which is what we had in the last race here. What happened to Reed Sorensen? All by himself, probably debris again. I would assume it was debris. Am I the only one that pitted? No, the entire field came to pit road under the second caution. Nobody pitted during the first yellow, and I don't think anybody's going to pit during this third yellow either. We're pretty early into the run. We only went about 20 laps, if that. So I heard the debris come off of the car on that last replay, right off the exit of turn 4. So 3 cautions, all for debris today. Denny Hamlin's up to second. All right. He's not having a great season, but he's having a good day. Lap 89 restart, green flag back in the air. Snack wraps are back. I didn't even know they took them away. The go-to breakfast item for me at McDonald's for the longest time was just the traditional sausage egg McMuffin. And then I got into the stick, egg, and cheese bagel like a year or 2 ago. That's my go-to now. Either that or a sausage, egg, and cheese bagel. If I'm going to get anything breakfast at McDonald's, it's going to be a bagel. I didn't think anything could top the sausage, egg muffin. I worked at McDonald's all those years, and I never tried it while I worked there. Well, I say all those years. All those years ago, I only worked there for like 2 years in high school, but all that time I worked there, if I ever ended up having a free meal on like a shift where I work in the morning during the summer times, I would get the sausage egg muffin. Didn't think about really trying anything else. Biscuits taste dry like sand. I think I've had the biscuit there. They're really crummy. Like it's a messy food when you try to eat a biscuit sandwich from a breakfast place. Like, that's one that I wouldn't be able to eat in my car if I needed something quick. I can't really eat the bagel in my car either because of the sauce kind of gets a little drippy, but it's a little risky. Yeah, McGriddle's kind of compact. That's a little easier to eat in a car. I probably had that at one point in time. But I'm a basic guy, so it doesn't take much to please me. Give me the basics. They removed snack wraps in 2016? No, there's no way. That was when I was working there. I don't remember them discontinuing it when I was working there. Maybe certain locations still had them well after the fact. I could have swore that they were around at least while I had worked through my entire tenure at McDonald's. I would have started there in like... Well, no, I started, I think, in early 2017. No. Yeah, it would have been early 16 to like October, November of 18. Ugh! I kissed the wall. Wasn't much. I'm getting to that point where the right front's really starting to burn off the car because I was pushing hard for lap time early in the run. And I'm not able to get back into the gas as soon as I want to anymore. I thought I was going to cram the wall, and I just lightly, and I mean lightly, touched it. I don't even think it did any sort of damage. Definitely the first time I've hit the wall remotely in these first 96 laps. Eric Flick, thanks for tuning in. Kind of setup. Oh, geez. I go heavy on the downforce with these EA games. You can get away with it more on the short tracks. Even though there's longer straightaways at New Hampshire here, I have so much mid-corner speed I'm able to carry and keep the speed up. So that's kind of my my secret. It's really like a secret, but it's just my go-to on the short tracks on these EA games. And I feel like that's why I'm so good on the short tracks in the EA games. That I run full races, so I need to have grip for a whole run. You run a short race, it's like, let's say 25% distance. That means your pit stops for the fuel window itself is going to be cut in a quarter of what the full length is. So, for instance, here we can go about 80 laps. That'd be cut down to 20. So if you're super loose, you know, for an entire stint, over the course of 20 laps, it's not really going to bite you much. But if you're super loose for the back half of a run when it's 80 laps long, you're going to lose so much time over the 40 laps on the back half of the run. So I go super downforce heavy with a lot of my setups, but especially on the short tracks. Although you can't really adjust the, now that I was thinking about it, you can't touch the downforce on this game with the car of tomorrow. And I wonder if it's going to be like that on NASCAR 09 as well. So with all the cup races being on short tracks with the car of tomorrow, I actually can't adjust the downforce. So then I lower the air pressure to just try to snug it up as much as I can. I'd rather have a tight car than a loose car. There's sometimes I'm plowing tight and I burn off the right front a little too much. And that's where I'm losing time in the long run, but at least there's grip for me to keep control of my car. Last thing I want to do is damage it early and not have the speed I once had the rest of the race. Tire pressure, I'm running 21. 21 all the way around here. That's one thing with these EA games, though. You can't do it tire by tire. Like, I have to preset every single tire on this car is at 21 PSI. Yeah, I'm getting way too aggressive with the throttle. I just smacked the wall pretty good that time off turn 2. Car's tightening up. I'm not going to be able to put my fastest lap of the race down anytime soon now. Hit the wall and I'm still only 4/10 off of the fastest lap. I'm curious to know if the fall off itself over the course of a full run is going to be a lot more because I was pushing harder early in the run. You would think that that would be the case. Hey, I mean, you tried early enough and you learn for later. I think somebody just blew a motor. Went over 100 laps before seeing the first driver retire from the race, and I think somebody's out. Somebody's on pit road. It definitely can't be a scheduled stop. I don't know who it is yet. I couldn't tell from as far away as we were. David Stremme. I remember the last Cup race we did, Ganassi was absolutely cursed. Had 2 DNFs like in the first 20 laps of the race. And then their third car was running Route 40th the whole race. Oddly enough tonight, first car out's a Ganassi car. And caution's out again. 4 yellows. We haven't seen a wreck yet. We'll see if this was maybe a wreck. No, I think it's going to be another debris caution. Kurt Busch. I don't know what that was. All right. Lap 111 restart. Pitting earlier than I would have with that first stop. We restarted at lap 72 when we pitted during the second caution. We've had 2 yellows during this run after we pitted. Had we not had any cautions the entire race, it probably would have only been lap 78, 79 I would have had to pit. So whatever, 6, 7 laps early, we pretty much made that back up again during the last couple yellows. So far, for fuel purposes, we're right on the same pace that we would have been had we not seen any yellows at all. So if my math is correct, we should be able to go to lap probably looking at lap 158 being our next stop. Definitely past halfway. That's what I'm guessing, basing off of how much fuel I might have saved during the yellows. Well, that's probably a lie because I'm already halfway out of gas. Never mind, scratch that. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to lap 158 to 159 anymore. Well, my calculations were way off. Kind of curious if all the cautions we're going to see today are strictly going to be debris only. I haven't seen any smoke on the racetrack anywhere, though, that wasn't from me skirting my tires the lap before. So it's kind of hard to tell exactly where all these drivers are getting their damage from. Kind of wheel hopped the entry into turn 1 that time. You know what? During that last yellow, or within the last couple, I actually meant to check my phone to see what the chat polls are looking like for the NASCAR '08 driver list. Because again, I have not looked at them, but the winners will be announced at the end of this stream for the 5 polls we have open. In the event of any ties, both drivers will just move on, and then we'll settle in another poll. But since it's the first round, yikes. That smoke was for me, I believe. Car's a little bit too slippery. Round and around we go. Yep. Now I've got that that round and round song from Rat stuck in my head. Frank Franklin, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I'm still doing the custom schedule seasons even if I win the championship on this season. That's the plan. We've done 2 seasons for every series so far with every one of these EA games we've played. That'll be the plan for when NASCAR 25 comes out too. That'll do 2 seasons, but I'll also do a career mode on NASCAR 25 on top of that. Kind of like I did with NASCAR Heat 5 way back when. Do the same thing. Especially knowing I can't go wire to wire in this race, I think what I'm going to do for strategy, if we end up catching another caution, I believe I'm going to pit. Since we're past halfway out of gas already. Just in the event that everybody else pits. If they end up staying out, you know, so be it. I'll jump back to the lead again eventually. I just don't want to end up having to pit under green while they already pitted behind me, and then I put myself a lap down. Even though nobody else on track is lap down, I would end up getting the free pass of another caution, and I know we'll end up getting more yellows, but still like to lead the most laps if possible, which we should be getting pretty close to that because we've led all but just a couple laps in the race, and halfway's lap 150. Lap 129 at the line. Appreciate that, Craig. No, not that Craig. Different Craig. That'd be hilarious though if I just said, Dad? You're like, what? Who are you calling Dad? By everyone, you mean 2 people? Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are going to spend most of their time either online or on career mode. I don't know if there's going to be like an actual season mode on the game. I really hope there is. Technicality, NASCAR 21 didn't have that, but I mean, this should be a much better game than NASCAR 21. I don't even want to put it in the same sentence. What I would end up doing if they don't end up having a season mode, I would do a career mode, obviously, simultaneously with whatever seasons I'll end up doing. Everything will be live streamed. Dating is overrated. Yeah, I guess it depends on who you are. Right. No split screen? Are you talking about like multiplayer? There's no split screen? Oh, you're talking about like a career, and that's not what I meant by at the same time. Not actually at the same time, but... Probably do 2 ARCA races in one stream, honestly. Those races are going to be so short. Kind of do what I did with the modifieds on NASCAR 05 when we did that. Because most of those races were only 100 laps on short tracks, so just do two races in one stream. Like if I have a 100-lap race, you know, at Charlotte, or the mile-and-a-half tracks being 100 laps, 2 of them would be the length of an Xfinity race. I don't see why I can't do it. It's not going to make it obnoxiously long. That'll kind of speed things up a little bit. But yeah, there's going to be a ton of NASCAR 25 content on the channel. That's for sure. It's kind of nice in a way that it's coming out towards the end of the season because that'll carry the off-season content on the channel a lot. That game's still going to be relatively new when NASCAR is done with. So it definitely gives me a lot to do. It'd be easier to work through the full like career and season modes when I can do it, you know, 6 to 7 days a week instead of only 4 or 5. How the live commentary splits are. Yeah, online and career mode are definitely going to be a hot commodity. It'll be nice to do online lobbies again on the channel. It's been so long. I mean, like I said, NASCAR Heat 5, we have not touched on the channel in years now. the early days of the channel, we were doing online lobbies like every week or every other week we would do one, and it's cool getting to race with you guys. There's a lot more, interaction. I can't really do that with these old games. And I'm not playing NASCAR 21 Ignition because that game's just too bad. I put myself through the ringer trying to play that game. It was becoming not fun very quick. If you see me complaining about the game, that's not good because I'm easy to please. It was just so unplayable. Watch very much on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at your group. Hey, man, you got to do you. Everybody's got their own things going on in their personal lives. I don't expect people to show up 7 days a week, every single week. I mean, I take days off here and there, too. I'll have some stuff going on some days. Quarter tank of gas left. I think we'll end up catching a caution before we end up having to pit under green. We actually extended that middle portion of the fuel run out a little longer than I was expecting. I think it was lap 114 when I hit halfway out of gas. We didn't get to a quarter tank of gas till the last lap at lap 142. So maybe my calculations were correct all along and we can go to lap 158 to 159. We did get a caution, which also kind of helps, so maybe it's a little bit beyond that now. I'll go as far as I can because we've had so many yellows. They can really strike at any time. I mean, we've had 5 cautions already in the race today. We're in the entry into turn 3 a little bit there. Split screen with multiple screens in the house are a thing of the past. I wish they weren't, man. I wish they weren't. I miss those days. I miss the days of having 2 people, playing against one another on whatever game they're playing at the same time. Like, I'm not just talking about NASCAR. I'm talking, like, any games that I played growing up. I had so much fun in high school playing 2K. We'd have a group of like 4 of us and we'd just have tournaments every couple weekends. We'd do the same thing with Madden. It was great. People still do that. I mean, I'm not too far removed from from high school. I feel old when I start like reminiscing on that because it was, I mean, primarily my junior year was the 1 year out of the 4 where we did a lot of that. We did a little bit my senior year, but 17 years old. About to be 9 years ago already. Jeez. Tire and fuel run. I mean, I could push the tires into another run. I can't go 2 full runs. So that's why we end up taking 4 every time we're going to pit. But tires can hold on pretty well for the full length of our fuel run. Our fuel run here, under green, about 79 laps. Because I remember specifically we went 79 laps on a full green flag run with no cautions in our first New Hampshire race. With that only being last week, I can remember that well enough. So I was well prepared coming into this race, kind of knowing around when we'd pit. We have had already as many cautions as we had that full New Hampshire race the first time. We had 5 yellows in the first race, and we've seen 5 already. Lap 150. My fuel light's already flashing. Maybe I can't go to 158. I'll tell you what, my fuel gauge is playing tricks on me on this run. I thought I'd make it to lap 158, and then I thought it was going to be way short of it. And then I thought 158 again. No, we should easily get there, and now I don't think we're going to get there again. We're not going to be way short, but I don't think I'm going to get quite there. We're halfway. I'm not pitting until I see other cars pit. We all pitted at the same time, which was during the second caution. We've seen 3 yellows already during the run. What driver merchandise you should get? I mean, whoever your favorite driver is. I've never been one to get merchandise for many other drivers. I'm gonna stay on one more lap. Gonna go to lap 153 and then I'm gonna pit. Oh, wow. See, that's why I stayed out. Got a crash in turns 3 and 4. I saw a huge pile up on the track map. Somebody ran into somebody. I wonder if they were log jamming coming into the pits. Oh, the heck? Somebody stopped on the track. Looked like a ghost car or something. That was strange. We had some glitching going on there, that's for sure. Some major glitches. Oh, somebody was up in the wall. That's what happened. Oh my gosh. Land rush. If I would have pitted that lap before, we would be a lap down right now. I stretched it one more lap, and it's a good thing I did. 4 tires, full tank of gas. Bring this baby in. Second stop of the race. We'll still have 3 sets left the rest of the way. Okay, now I'm going to check the chat polls since I'm on pit road during this caution. I said the chat polls. I meant the community tab. Driver polls. Well, that one's pretty much unanimous. That one's unanimous. That one's still close. There's only one poll on here that's really, really tight. So be sure to vote in the community tab if you haven't yet. Looks like quite a few people have voted already. We got about 50 votes, give or take, for all 5 polls. But those polls at the end of this race. A couple cars that did not go lap down on pit road when the caution came out. So they already made their stop. They cycled ahead of us. Green flag is back in the air. And we're racing again at New Hampshire. Casey Mears in the 25 car leads for the first time. There's actually not many cars that are a lap down. Mike Wallace got really loose driving it off into turn 3. I would not be shocked with all the cars that were kind of piling up in 3 and 4 if we see a lot more debris cautions. But 6 yellows. Just past halfway, and might see plenty more. All the cars that have passed so far were not on the lead lap. Johnson was. So is David Ruderman. Underneath Tony Raines for 4th. She's got so much speed. Back out of the gas early, try to block Jeff Burton. I wanted to protect the bottom. Could have tried to hang the David Gilliland's outside, but that's all right. Going for the lead on Casey Mears. Or power slide. Back out in front off turn 2. Just clinched the most laps led already. Barely into the second half of the race as Casey Kane has dominated tonight at New Hampshire. Clearing away the fastest car. They did not take long to go from 7th to 1st on the restart. Nothing but clean passes all the way through there, too. 2 more stops? Yeah, probably. Well, we might be able to make it on 1. Because that second stop we had was just past halfway. So I might be able to make it on 1 more stop. Just depends how the cautions lay out in the second half of the race, really. Because technically we're a few laps to the good if we stretch this thing all the way out. Keep meaning to look to see how many cars are lapped down. I keep forgetting. Time I end up looking up, I only see lap cars. JJ Yaley DNF'd. I wonder if he was the car that kind of started that wreck. Did he DNF maybe when cars were trying to pit? That caused the pileup? I don't know. It was hard to tell exactly how that started. Yeah, the only close poll that I was looking at on the community tab was the poll that had Martin Truex Jr. and Ryan Newman in it. They're only 2% away from one another, and only one of those drivers are moving on. Unless they both tie, then they both move on. But right now, Newman is ahead by 2%. And I raced as Truex in the Busch Series, but I've not raced as him in the Cup Series. There's no repeat drivers, so if I've raced as anybody on these old EA games already, they are not in the polls. So Dave Blaney, Greg Biffle, Casey Kane, obviously, right here. Jimmy Johnson, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Terry Labonte, but he's not in this game. Cannot race as any of those drivers. And then with the Busch Series, I can't race as Kyle Busch, Clint Boyer, Martin Truex Jr., Dale Jr. There's quite a few of the Cup regulars that are in the Busch Series I can't race as. Kevin Harvick, Greg Biffle. And the only guy off of the trucks list is Mike Skinner, who we just raced as. Because everybody else on the driver list on that game, we actually haven't raced as. We've raced as guys that aren't in the game, like Todd Bodine, and Ron Hornaday, and Matt Crafton. They're not in this game for whatever reason. Ricky Craven, Carl Edwards, Kevin Harvick, Bobby Hamilton. Terry Labonte retired by then. Well, he raced part-time in some very small teams through the Car of Tomorrow years, but I don't think he is in any of these games anymore. Like, he drove the 44 car on NASCAR 06, I think it was. And he wasn't in 07 at all. He's obviously not in 08. I don't know what the driver lineup for 09 looks like because I've never played NASCAR 09. But he definitely stuck around for a long time. Very small teams. Wasn't running every week. Bobby actually ended up doing the same thing a little later on in his career. I'm surprised Elliott Sadler was leading the poll that I was looking at that he was in. I was not expecting him to win that. I think I got to scroll back to see who I had in that poll, but I think Clint Boyer was in that one. I guess Clint Boyer was the only guy that I was expecting to maybe beat him. But yeah, Elliott Sadler getting quite a few votes. And Clint Boyer isn't even second. David Rudiman had more votes than Clint Boyer. I don't know if that's because he was in the 07 for Childress and people don't want to see me drive the 07 car for some reason. I don't know. Whatever the case. Very odd. Yep, Southern 500. 2003, his last win. He had a top 10 points finish that year, too. Pretty solid year for Terry. It was his last good season, essentially. Yeah, Sally's got over half the votes. Like, he's cooking the guys that he's in the poll with. That'd be insane if we end up basically the same paint scheme, just a different car number for a whole nother season. We're in the same equipment, but I think his driver rating is lower than Casey Kane's. I would assume that it is. Although he did win a couple of races before going to Evernham, so I don't know. We'll have to see. I'll have to check that out. I would assume his driver rating's a little bit lower than Casey's, but equipment level is the exact same. So maybe I don't win 11 races on the first 26 like I did. Maybe it'll look more like 7 or 8, but I can definitely get some wins in the regular season. One of them being here. This should be... I can't remember if I even have New Hampshire. There's 1 or 2 tracks I don't have. And honestly, this should be one I shouldn't have on the schedule if this is a race I could leave off, just because I know that I'm going to win this race. Like, it would take a lot for me not to win at New Hampshire on this game. I'm just too good here. I think here in Richmond, if I could do away with those 2 tracks, it would make it a little bit tougher on me. So I might have some tweaking to do on the custom schedule season. Like I said, I'm going to try to make it as hard as I can. Especially with the timing of when I run specific races. If I have to put a New Hampshire race on the schedule just for, you know, differentiating it a little bit more, it's definitely going to be in the regular season. Because if it's in the playoffs, then it's just a guaranteed lock to the next round. When did David Reagan start racing? This is his rookie season in Cup in 2007, so... He's in the Busch and in the Cup Series on this game. The 6 for Roush. Mark Martin was another one, by the way, I didn't mention that I also can't race as because I raced as him in NASCAR 07. Got him his first career championship. Yeah, I'm excited for the custom schedule season. Like I said, I've never done like a playoff format with these old games and keeping track of points the whole season. The only thing that sucks for my sake of it is that I'm going to have to, you know, probably half hour after each race tally up all the points because it'll take some time to do that. But I'm willing to put that extra time in just to try to make this a little bit more competitive on the second go around. It will come down to the final race. It will be tight. We might have moments throughout. We don't know who I'm driving as in each series, so again, equipment level can vary because there's driver ratings in this game for each driver, specific to their talent and the equipment they're in. Mark DeMar, 6 for tuning in. So 120 votes to solidify who is going to win the chat poll. I keep saying chat. It's because when I do the live commentary streams, I have a chat poll that's up every stream. Community tab poll. You're not going to find the polls in the chat. When am I going to do 09? When I was done with 08, but with the timing of when NASCAR 25 comes out, it might not be until next year before I touch NASCAR 09. Because I'm going to be milking the NASCAR 25 stuff out for a while. You know, maybe we get far enough along that I end up doing like one classic race a week or something on NASCAR 09. Do like a throwback Thursday or something, middle of the week. But this will be months after the new game's released. So I'm definitely going to be grinding it out those first couple of months. Many streams as I can. Starting to catch up to the back of the field. I haven't actually passed any lap cars the whole race today. The only cars that are a lap down are because the last caution came out in the middle of green flag stops. Gone green for about 30 laps now. These two are running side by side. Looked like they were making contact with one another. And there's a lot of smoke up in 3 and 4, but no caution for that. Probably more cars with damage. Mark Martin and Matt Kenseth were closing in on. Kenseth's one of the chase drivers, too. Mark Martin is not, but Kenseth is. I don't think either one of those two were a lap down already. Now there's more smoke in 3 and 4. We're going to get a caution at some point. Actually, that might be the same smoke from before. Kenseth's got damage. I see him out of the rear view. I didn't notice that when I passed him. No wonder he's slow. If we catch a debris caution, it might be from Matt Kenseth in the 17 because his front bumper was caved in quite a bit. And that was a massive crash that we had bringing out the last yellow. The first 4 cautions, or 5 I should say, were all debris yellows. That 6th caution that came out, that was a legitimate crash. And there it is. I was expecting it sometime soon. AJ's missing a lot of parts and pieces. And it was Kenseth. Yeah, I was right on that. Corwin Tipper, thanks for tuning in. Did Jeff reach the chase in this universe? Yes, Jeff Gordon is in the chase on this season. There's some underdogs in here. And there were some heavy hitters that missed, but Jeff Gordon wasn't one of them. Gordon was top 5 in points most of the season. He's 8th. A little bit further behind starting this, but yeah, Jeff is in. Yeah, my hamstring is tight. I had leg day like 2 days ago, and I started feeling it last night. Every time when I was on break at work and I would sit down for those like 15 to 20 minutes, then it would get tight. I know as soon as I get up from this chair, sitting down for a few hours, I'm going to be so tight for about another 10, 15 minutes. Those first couple steps are going to be walking pretty gingerly. It's in my hamstrings. My right hamstring's a little bit tighter than my left, but my hamstrings have just been so tight all day. Like, if I had to get up and run a 40 right now, I would blow both my hamstrings out. There's no way. There's no way. I would hurt myself seriously. I'd probably fall, honestly, just because I can't get my legs that far off the ground when I'm walking. My first steps this morning, I was kind of dragging my feet for a little bit when I wasn't trying to. I was kind of clicking my heel on the ground. It's super tight all day today. Need to stretch. Oh, no, I definitely need to stretch. I'm bad about not stretching enough after I work out. Because I'm just so exhausted. I get done working out, like, I'm done. I'm tapping out. I killed myself already. I don't want to stretch for 5 to 10 minutes, even though I know it's beneficial for me. I stretch before I work out because I don't want to hurt myself, but yeah, I don't stretch enough after. I really don't stretch at all, if I'm being honest, after I'm done working out. I'm just so done. I want to get in the shower immediately, and I just want to vegetate after that. Driver or rookie in the game? You talking about Casey Kane? No. There would be rookie stripes on the back of the car. They don't have those anymore, but for the longest time they did. No rookie stripes. So we should be at 7 cautions. Mark Martin was off the lead lap already. Might end up catching another yellow. My goodness. A lot of smoke off turn 4 already. Well, we know our fuel window's around 80 laps. Probably go a little more than that if we end up catching enough cautions, but it'd be risky. My luck, I pit before that, and then we don't catch any yellows, and I'm short. The good news is I have enough speed in the car. We'll be able to drive from the back to the front if needed. If I did get myself off sequence. But yeah, dominant car of the day. We'll have a more competitive race at Dover tomorrow. I know I won at Dover earlier this season, but that was on fuel strategy. I don't know that I had the best car in that race. I had a top 5 car, but I don't know if I had the fastest car. So that'll be a lot more competitive tomorrow, I can promise you, if you're looking for maybe a more competitive race by way of me versus the rest of the field. I haven't raced Kansas on the Cup Series on this game. I've only ran Kansas in the trucks. And that'll be the 3rd race in the chase. Talladega I know is going to be tough. I did not win at Dega the first go around there. Only led a couple of laps too. But I did win the Pepsi 400 at Daytona in the last super speedway race. So I can get it done. But that'll be a tough go. Charlotte's tough. I haven't won at Charlotte any series on this game. Charlotte's probably my toughest racetrack on this game. Top 10 speed, yes, but I can't get to the lead to save my life. I've got nothing for them. So I'm going to have to try to grind out some extra laps in practice before that stream. Ooh. Big slide. Yeah, tonight's definitely a cakewalk. I led all 300 laps here in the first race. I've actually lost the lead twice today on pit cycling, but I knew going wire to wire in the first race here, I should be able to win the second race. So far, so good. The easy thing, too, is because the way the cautions have laid out, I haven't had to deal with any lap traffic for the most part. Like, the last run was just long enough. I caught 3 lap cars, and that was it. And I was significantly faster than them. They didn't hold me back at all. The risk is if something stupid happens where they crash, like we've seen already, or have a debris yellow and I run over debris, but because they're on the other side of the racetrack, I don't have to worry about it. This has literally been one of the most carefree races for myself that I've had. This is the first New Hampshire race we had. We only had 5 cautions the entire race, so it wasn't quite like this. There was actually quite a few guys that finished a lap down, but today we've had 6 yellows. They've been pretty evenly spaced apart. Like that last green flag run we had was probably the second longest of the day. It went about 50 laps. I think the longest we had was those first 47 laps before the first caution. That's probably the longest green flag run. And speaking of cautions, we got another one. It's a wreck in turns 1 and 2. Somebody was stopped on the track map. Look how quickly they caught me under yellow. The caution is out, boys. Oh. Robbie Gordon and Dave Blaney didn't have his brakes. Robbie Gordon and Sterling Marlin crashed, and Dave Blaney said, I want to crash too. Look at this. Everybody's just flying. He hit both of them. I thought he only hit the one. He crammed it into both cars. Have you ever? Actually, I have. Just not in the Cup Series as often. That was an ARCA brake moment there. So staying out of the pits, we had a little less than 100 to go, but still outside of our fuel window. Green flag back in the air, 95 laps to go on the restart. Oh, I blew that first turn. Good thing the lappers were on the bottom. Had that been a single file restart, I think I was going to lose the lead there. That was not a good first turn. There's 3 and 4 wide in front of this group. They're going to wreck off turn 4, aren't they? They made it. I don't know how they did, but they made it. I swear lap cars at the front of the pack. You guys race it out back there. I'll just enjoy the lead. Things are a lot more calm at the front of the pack. Indy and Pocono are the tracks you haven't won on this game. So I actually did not race at Indianapolis because of simulating it. So that's going to be, I believe, the only track when we go into the next season that I have not raced at all. Because Kansas and Homestead are the only other two, and we'll hit Kansas here in a couple races. I haven't raced at Homestead in any series because we clinched the truck and the Busch titles early. I would like to think I'm not going to clinch the title early because of the chase, but, you know, I guess if I did, then Homestead would be another racetrack that it's just a complete unknown. I equated Pocono and Indy the same. I won Pocono on pit strategy. I ran my own race, and it was perfect. Because I knew track position was going to matter there. It was so hard to pass. And I was able to elongate every run possible. They would all pit. I'm like, well, we're catching a lot of yellows, so let's just try to stretch it out as far as we can. I ended up making it on one less stop than everybody else, and that ended up winning me the race pretty easily. That was also a fuel mileage race. So on speed, kind of like Dover was, tough to tell if I would have won. I'd say I probably had more of a chance at Pocono than Dover. I think I had more overall speed there. Montoya's in second now. What a run. Non-chaser. Hasn't won all season. Kenny Schrader's in the chase, and he's in the top 5 and 4th right now. What a run. Bobby Labonte's in the chase. Some of the underdogs in the chase are having a stellar opening race here. Or Jimmy Johnson, who started seconds, back to 12th. He just lost another spot. Now he's 13th. Jeff Gordon's 16th. Dale Jarrett's 18th. Tony Stewart's 19th. Yeah, there's some chasers that are having some problems today. For sure. Ryan Newman, yeah, that's another one. Got a couple wins. He's in the chase, and he's, what, last of the 12? I don't think anybody in the chase is out. Kenseth obviously not having a good day either. He's got a lot of damage. He's a lap down. So Kenseth and Newman are a lap down. Only 2 cars are out, which are David Stremme and J.J. Yaley. How do I do at Dover? I won there the first time I raced there on this game, but I can guarantee you it'll be more competitive. I led a lot of laps, but we only had 1 caution in that race, and I pitted during that 1 yellow. Everybody else stayed out. We were right on the edge of a pit window to make it on 2 stops from there, and I was barely able to make it. I ran out of gas in the victory celebration. We were on fumes at the end of the race. Had I not done that strategy, I think I could have had a top 5, but I don't think I had the quickest car, which is why I tried it, because I think we were racing Kenseth in that race. There was somebody else that was really quick. It might have been Newman. There were a couple guys that were just super fast that race. I was having a tough time trying to keep up with. So that may happen again. It'll be fun. I'm up for the challenge. Nice to have an easy race to start the chase, you know, give myself a little bit of a points gap. Already had one being the #1 seed. Throw that a little bit more. Give me over 100-point advantage, and then we'll go into the next set of races. Play with the lead. It's a lot easier to play with the lead than play from behind. Then you're hoping for other people's misfortune on top of trying to have good runs. That's where it can get a little stressful. But not for us. Looking for win number 12 on the season. 2 of them at New Hampshire. Get the Loudon sweep. Get not 1 lobster, but 2. Caution comes out. We're close enough to the edge of the pit window. I'm definitely pitting. If we were right on the edge of it, I'm sure that wouldn't be the last yellow. Again, our longest green flag run's only 47 laps. I think we've seen 8 cautions, if I'm not mistaken. 7 or 8. I've lost count. I think it's 8. But if I'm wrong, it's 7. I might have gave an extra one somewhere in there. We've had a fair amount. Ken Schrader's in second. Let's go. Nobody's catching me. I kind of messed up in that corner, but I'm not afraid of any of them. Oh, Bobby Labonte's in the top 5 now. Kyle Busch had 2 wins late in the regular season, but he was just outside the cut line. He was the first driver out at the end of the Richmond race. Talladega, the wild card for sure. Yeah, of the racetracks that are in the chase that I won at earlier this season, New Hampshire, Dover on fuel mileage, that might be it. I don't remember how I did at Texas or Atlanta off the top of my head. Try to check. Oh, I got to scroll up the screen. I know I didn't win at Charlotte because I didn't win in any series there. Talladega had a good run, but I didn't win. I didn't lead a lot of laps in either one of those 2 races. I know I didn't win Martinsville because I was leading, then we had a caution which set up a green-white checker. Bobby Labonte won that race because he shipped me going into the first turn. On a 2-lap green-white checker, he shipped me into the first turn. I fell to third. I got my Johnson on the final lap, but I didn't have enough time to catch back up to Bobby. I definitely would have paid him back. All right, let's look here. Atlanta. Clint Boyer won Atlanta. I finished 10th at Atlanta early in the season. I only led 23 laps, so that might be a tough race. I actually didn't realize that I finished that far off the lead with not a lot of laps led. That might be similar to Charlotte for me by way of speed. Martinsville, I finished 2nd, like I mentioned already, to Labonte. Texas, I finished 4th. I did lead 132 laps at Texas. Jimmy Johnson won that race. So I think, yeah, the only races I won at the first time around of the repeat tracks in the chase are New Hampshire, Dover, and Phoenix. That's it. So it's actually a pretty competitive chase as is. And caution's out with 75 to go. Well, I'm definitely pitting. We're inside our fuel window. Be able to make it to the end. 500. It'll be fun. Play from the lead. Make it a little easier for myself. Yeah, one of those races of the 3 that I won, like I said, Dover was on fuel mileage, so I actually have a lot of my tougher tracks in the chase. I think it's the intermediate tracks and being in B-tier equipment that I'm in right now is, I think everybody stayed out. Well, I'm coming in. I know I can make it. We might have a mixed bag here. I don't know that everybody's pitting, though. There was definitely some cars that stayed out. No, there's one. One car stayed out. That's it. Who's that bold guy? What Nimrod does he have as a crew chief that told him, no, nope, stay out. It'll be fine. Oh, it's Kevin Harvick. Harvick stayed out. Everybody else pitted. And two guys beat me out of the pits, which were Dale Jr. and Ken Schrader. So we're going to restart at fourth. Green flag back in the air. I had to get out of the gas there, get out of line, and get underneath to the bottom. So Harvick's on old tires. Look at this. Look at this restart. Oh, I thought I was going to clear them all. Oh, caution. Right after I got to the lead. Look out for you, Kevin. Or old tires, I should say. Denny Hamlin debris caution. Well, now I'm in the lead. I mean, Harvick's got a pit again. Like, why would you stay out there? He's not going to make it. I mean, we were in the window. So weird. And the caution we had before that, and the only thing I could think of is maybe he pitted with 95 to go when we had that yellow, but that's too many laps. I mean, he's like 16 laps short. We're going to have to see like 5 or 6 yellows in this final run for him to make it. I guess he's gotten 2 of them already. Green flag's back in the air. He stayed out again. I wonder if he ends up running out of gas before the end of the race and brings out a yellow. I don't think our debris cautions are done either. This car behind us has a lot of damage. That's Brian Vickers. Well, we had 12 yellows in a truck race at New Hampshire. We've got 10 already today, and we still have just under 70 to go. Dale Jr. up to second. He is not in the chase. Actually, if I remember correctly, I think he's around 20th in points. He is not having a good season. Busch Series, he finished second in points with 2 wins, but Cup Series season, not so good for him. No wins, around 20th. You can tell it's his swan song season at DEI. He's ready to get the hell out of there. He'll be on to Hendrick Motorsports, where he's only going to win 1 time in the next 4 years. I just set my fastest lap of the race by a lot. 26.784. Man. Man. What a heater. Another one. I didn't make any adjustments. We got quicker. That's a 26.6. 26.672. I couldn't hold it there. I got a little loose on entry into 1. Four fresh Goodyears, clean air. I want to see how far back Kevin Harvick's going to fade on his old tires. He's the only one. He's already falling back. He's in 4th. I doubt he gets a top 10. He's not in the chase either. He's just trying to go for that first win. I don't think this is the track to try to stay out on old tires. There's very few tracks in this game that are like that anyway. I can't get over that though. 26.672. What are the next gen cars running here? Probably like 28s or 29. They might run like 28s. They definitely got less horsepower than what they had at this day and age, that's for sure. I mean, they have less than what we had with the last car on the shorter tracks like this, because even with the Gen 6, we had 750 horsepower on the 1 mile tracks and road courses. 1 mile tracks and less in road races. They raised the horsepower in the intermediates, and we look at how much better the intermediate racing's been with the next gen. And then the horsepower lowered on the shorter tracks and road courses, and look at how much worse it's been. Now, I'm not saying that's the only problem, but there's a clear difference between one car to the next on what you did that substantially changed the outlook on the racing on both sides of it. Just putting it out there. Casey Kane's an underrated driver. He was a great driver. Never really a championship contender like we're making him on this season, but he won almost 20 races in his Cup career. And a lot of those were with teams that I wouldn't consider A-tier equipment, like Evernham. He won for Red Bull Racing a couple times. Like, he had a pretty good career. It's kind of odd. He got to Hendrick Motorsports a little bit too late. Had he gone to Hendrick a little bit earlier, like if he had gone to Hendrick instead of Mark Martin going to the 5 car, that could have been Casey Kane winning those races and competing for a title in 2009 and not Mark Martin. I firmly believe that. And by the time he got to the 5 car, it was just a few years too late. He didn't suck, but just slightly past his prime. And then he started having health issues towards the end of that too, and that probably wasn't helping. Ultimately ended up retiring. Didn't even complete another full-time season after his tenure with HMS. Well, we got another yellow. That's what Kevin Harvick needs. Yellow after yellow. Paul Menard losing his hood. Debris. Again, a reminder to those of you that do not know, community tab for who you want me to race as in our upcoming seasons for NASCAR 08. I'm doing one more playthrough all the way through for Truck Xfinity and Cup, well, Truck Busch Series and Cup. And you guys get to pick the driver I'm racing as, just like you did for these seasons of the earlier EA games. So go and vote in the community tab. The polls close at the end of the stream, and then I'll announce the winners from yesterday for the first half of the first round. So then the rest of round 1 will be tonight into tomorrow. And then at the end of tomorrow's stream at Dover for NASCAR 08 for the Cup Series, I'll announce those winners, and then we'll have round 2 the following day. And then once we get through the Cup polls, then I'll have the Busch Series polls and then the trucks. 08 is nationwide. So this game came out during the 2007 season. So it's 2007, it's a 08 titled game, but 2007 season. So we've actually had a mix of Gen 4 and Car of Tomorrow throughout the course of the year. All the short tracks are running this Car of Tomorrow, and intermediates running the Gen 4. I've definitely been better, I feel like, in the Car of Tomorrow races. But I'm just better on the short tracks on these EA games than what I am on the intermediates anyway. And this season it exacerbates it a little bit more just because I'm not in that A-level equipment. And I feel like that's why I'm not winning the intermediate track races this season, because I don't have the speed that the Gibbs, the Hendrick, and the Roush guys have. We get to these bigger tracks, and half of the chase is full of them. So again, I went through the list of where I finished in the first races for all the repeat tracks, and the only 2 tracks that aren't repeats are Homestead and Kansas, and they're both intermediates. And I haven't raced there yet, so those are probably going to be tough too if I had to guess, just because I'm going to have to find a setup. I haven't had any laps there. I haven't had any laps at Homestead at all in this game, and then Kansas I only have for trucks, but I haven't touched it for the Busch or the Cup seasons. Homestead, your favorite track outside of MIS? Was Alan Gustafson crew chiefing for Casey Kane when he was in the 5? I would assume he was. No, he probably wasn't because he was with Chase Elliott. When did he move with Jeff Gordon? That could have been the big difference, too. When Casey Kane ended up going to Hendrick, I don't think he ever had Alan Gustafson as a crew chief. I think he was with Gordon at that time. Gordon had so many crew chiefs over the years, I don't know. Through the 2000s, he had Robbie Reiser, Steve Letarte. I don't know who he had even after that. Like, he had so many of them before Alan Gustafson at the end of his career. Alan moved in 08. So he was with Busch. Or wait, you're saying Alan moved? So he went to Hendrick in 08? So he wasn't with Busch then. He would have been with Casey Mears. So did he have Casey Mears for a year before Mark Martin? So 25 was basically the 5 team the following season. Or no, that's not right. Oh, that's when NASCAR got limited to 4 cars a team. So they didn't even have the 25 car. They just... I was forgetting about that. Well, they might have had it for one more year. Maybe it was 2009 when they went down to 4 cars. Kyle Busch and Gordon. Well, I know that Alan Gustafson crew chief for Mark Martin. That I know of for a fact. So he must have been Kyle Busch's crew chief, and then when Mark came to drive the 5 car, then... But there was a gap year in there, though, in 2008, where Mark did not drive at Hendrick Motorsports. I think he was in the 01 and 07 and 08, wasn't he? Because then his first year in the 9 was 2009 when he finished second in points. Speaking of Jeff Gordon, by the way, he's up to 3rd. He was outside the top 10 for a large portion of this race. Pre-stage racing era, it doesn't matter. When the time is right, he's up there competing as he's trying to push for his 5th career Cup title. He had a good season in 2007 in real life. He actually hasn't won a race this season, I don't believe. Jeff Gordon surprisingly winless. '10 was the 4-car season. Casey Mears probably hung around a little longer than I thought he did then. You know, that makes sense because Jamie McMurray went to Ganassi in 2010. And then the 26 was just vacant. The Roush was down to 4 teams. Mears drove the 5, that's right. Okay, so yeah, he went for you're right. He went from the 25 to the 5, and then Mark Martin took over. That's right. That was the hole I was missing. Well, we got it solved eventually. It still doesn't solve the Alan Gustafson problem, though, because he crew chief Mark Martin back in 2009. I would assume he had to have crew chief Casey Mears for the 1 year then. Probably just 1 season. Another debris caution. Kevin Harvick's still hanging on. He hasn't pitted yet. He might get enough yellows to make it. He's definitely risking it. He doesn't want to give up his track position anymore. I don't know where he was running before all this started. Well, I'm definitely not pitting. We're good on fuel to the finish. Kenny Schrader still holding on for a top 10. Harvick's slowly cycling back on the older tires, but it's not at a very quick rate. Great launch in the restart zone. I haven't spun the tires on any of these restarts at all today. We've had quite a few restarts on mid to lower grip tires. I think the zero banking on the front stretch here really helps me, being super flat. I don't have to worry about turning into the corner for a little bit. Get up to fourth gear well before I make turn one. I believe that was either the 11th or 12th caution of the race. I've lost count. We've had a lot, double digits. Not as many as Sonoma, where we tied the NASCAR record and had 22, but we have had a lot of yellows in this race. If you haven't hit the like button yet, be sure to do so. I want to see if we can get this like counter up to 25 before the end of the stream. Got 31 laps to go at the start-finish line. We're at 19 likes. Not quite 20. Appreciate everybody that's tuned in throughout the course of the stream. We've had quite a few people here today. We'll be back at 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow for that Dover race, which will be the second race of the chase. And then the NASCAR race rains out Sunday. Then we may end up doing Sunday. So I guess weather pending. Might be here Sunday. Whatever day the Cup Series race isn't, we'll do it that day. I'm not going to have enough time to stream before the race. It's an earlier start time, and I'm working. I was able to do a full race just before the start of last week's stream, but the race started a lot later being on the West Coast, and so me working until noon, I'm not going to be able to double up on Sunday this week. But in the event of no race, that'd be a different story. Gordon's crew chief in 2011. He was with... Okay, so he was with Casey Mears in 08. That makes sense. Yeah. I definitely knew he was with Mark Martin. Well, we've had 4 cautions since our last pit stop. If you count that caution where we did pit, that's at least 12 laps of fuel that Harvick's been able to save. Maybe he did have the right idea of pitting with about 95 to go under that yellow. Who would have thought we were going to get that many yellows consecutively? I don't think we've seen the last one yet. We restarted with around 35 laps to go. I believe this would end up being the 3rd longest green flag run of the race. And just the consistency that the yellows have come out in this final 100 laps. I think we're going to have to deal with at least 1 or 2 more restarts. Again, as long as I don't spin my tires, I'll be all right. So it's not really up to me, because they're going to be standing on the gas from the word go that we get when I have control of my car. But I haven't had any rear wheel spin on any of the restarts to this point, so I'm not worried about it, honestly. It does seem like whenever we have like a tri-oval or some banking on old tires on a restart, that's when I've spun them. Not here. I don't want to jinx it or anything either, but I haven't hit that invisible pothole the entire race. I don't know that I've gone a full New Hampshire race on any of these old EA games and not hit it. I definitely remember hitting it a couple times in the first race we had here for the Cup Series. Spin the tires on restrictor plate tracks. I don't remember if I have or haven't. I probably did. At Daytona, if I had to guess, would probably be more likely than Talladega. Because where the start-finish line is at Dega, it's a little bit more flat than what it is at Daytona, being right in the middle of the tri-oval. Plus, it's an older surface. So we still got the old Daytona in this game. $20 to go this time by. In the event of a restart in the final 10 laps of the race, it would be single file, and all the lap cars that have been underneath us for really any of the second half of the race restarts, they will be at the back of the pack, out of the way of the leaders. Where's Matt Kenseth at? He was a lap down earlier. Did he get the free pass under any of these cautions? Same for Ryan Newman. They were both a lap down at one point because they were on the bad side of the caution we had in the middle of green flag stops in the middle of the race. Jeff Gordon's up to second, by the way. What a drive. He's outside the top 10. They made some adjustments on that final pit stop, though, because he is working hard. Can you imagine he starts running me down like out of nowhere? It's like, where did Jeff Gordon come from? I don't think that's going to happen. Newman's 18th. That's a great recovery. He was 34th a lap down earlier. Jimmy Johnson's 21st. Kenny Schrader was in the top 5 earlier. Just couldn't hang on. Too good, too early for Ken Schrader. I haven't found Ryan Newman yet. Kenseth's 35th. So yes, he's on the lead lap, but he's still got enough damage that he's not making any passes. I think he's going to end up last of the chasers unless somebody drops out of the race before the finish. That was a bad corner. I was looking up at the leaderboard too much. Oh, there's one of the yellows I was expecting before the finish. Well, now Jeff Gordon's in second. So if he has anything for us, now's the time that he gets to try to put it to the test. We're still going to have lap cars on the inside of the lead lappers on the restart. We'll have more than 10 to go still. All right. Oh, Labonte DNF'd? I didn't even see that. That's a tough break. He was in the top 10 for a brief moment in the first half of the race. Well, either 12 or 13 cautions we've seen now. Still might not be the last one. David Reagan, the first lapper on the bottom. Green flag back in the air. 13 laps to go. The good news is the restart gear's in it. David Reagan sailed it off into the first turn. Jeff Gordon's up the middle, 3 wide. Now he's down on the bottom lane of the racetrack. Trying to get by Robbie Gordon in the 7 as quickly as he can. We obviously got ahead of the traffic a lot quicker. So I held him back for a bit. Gives us some breathing room. Got about 0.8 of a second lead at the line. I'd imagine he should be able to clear Robbie Gordon off of turn 2 here. And he does. Newman 17th. Yeah, that's a great recovery after being a lap down. Points are worth every position he can gain forward, so it's a lot better than 34th. One of the benefactors of having this many yellows that he had many opportunities to get the free pass, and early enough that he was able to go to work and try to make some passes and get a better finish out of the day. He's in 4th at New Hampshire. What? Harvick fell back to 12th. He's still on the old tires. Like I said, I don't know where he was running before he stayed out of the pits. So I don't know if it's going to be a better or worse strategy. We tried to pull, but he's not in the chase and not racing for the championship, so still trying to go for that first win of the season. It was a shot in the dark, that's for sure. Johnson's 25th. It's unbelievable. Yeah, there he is, Bobby Labonte, 41st. I don't know when that happened. It couldn't have been that long ago. Got back at the gas way too soon there. Still pushing hard. That isn't even necessary information. The crew chief just gave me. Look, take a look at the fuel gauge. You got 5 laps left. You're plenty good to the end, but take a look at it. Just to see where you're at. Even though we're not sweating it at all. I'm kind of busy here. Tony Stewart's up to 3rd. Yeah, a few of the chase drivers and drivers who I would consider championship threats definitely having some good days today. Yeah, fuel's plenty good to the end. Ready to go. Give me the white. Something stupid to happen on a restart. White flag. 13 lap run to end the race. New Hampshire sweep and the 12th win of the season for Casey Kane. Let's go. From the pole domination in race 1 of the chase at New Hampshire. Trying to do a burnout all the way down the front straightaway. Oh, I blew the engine. Well, that didn't last very long. I definitely didn't run out of fuel that quick. I blew the engine in the victory celebration. I was trying to do a drag style burnout. Well, that's tough. That's okay. We don't need that engine again anyway. We're good. We'll have a new one ready to go for Dover. 12 cautions, 23 lead changes, 102.47 mile per hour average race speed. 2.8 second margin of victory for yours truly. 3 hours, 5 minutes, 50 seconds total time on the race today. 284 out of 300 laps led. What a race. What a race. Not as good as last time where we led all 300, but yeah, pretty darn good. The only time I didn't lead or got passed for the lead was simply on pit stops. All of our pit stops were under caution flag conditions today. That was not the case the last time we raced here. We did have at least one set of green flag stops. And because I was able to kind of manage that, I wanted to win the races off pit road, I would take like right sides only and left sides only because our tire fall off wasn't too terrible on how those cautions played out that day. But we definitely had more today. We had 5 in the first race and again 12 today. So not really an issue because we were just that much better than the rest of the field anyway. Jeff Gordon had a weird race. Started 8th, and then he was back in, 17th, the worst I think I saw him. And he gets back up to 2nd by the end of the race. So good run for him. Most of those spots gained were in 4th. Jamie McMurray rounds out the top 5 and 5th. And Jeff Burton in 6th. Tony Rain 7th. Mike Wallace 8th. What a run. Juan Pablo Montoya 9th. And Ricky Rudd rounds out the top 10. Harvick on the fuel mileage. He did make it. He had enough cautions. Squeaked out a 15th place finish. See here, Elliott Sadler, our teammate, finished 19th, started 4th, and Scott Riggs led 1 lap, probably during the pit stop sequences on pit road, but yeah, he got the lead a lap and finishes 22nd on the lead lap. Quite a few cars on the lead lap with how many yellows we ended up having. 37 of them finished on the lead lap, and only 3 DNFs. Bobby Labonte, JJ Yaley, David Stremme. Not many. Usually these cup races we see quite a few engine failures just because the races are longer, but today only 3 of them. Alrighty. On to Dover tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern. Last thing I have to do, well, first I'll check the point standings out, and then we have to go over who won the polls in the community tab that opened last night after our stream yesterday of clinching the Busch Series Championship. There you see 400 laps at Dover tomorrow. And we will have a 120-point lead over Tony Stewart, 135 over Jeff Gordon, 168 to Ryan Newman. We can outscore somebody by as many as 161 points. You can score as many as 195 in a single race. If you lead the most laps, you get the win, which we did today. So max points day. That's great. Leading as many laps as we did, there were very few chase drivers that actually did get any sort of bonus points for leading at least 1 lap. So that's also good for us. Not a good run for Jimmy Johnson, 7th in points, after being the number 2 seed coming in. And Bobby Labonte with the engine failure, of course, would be last. And Kenseth finishing outside the top 30. I forgot Truex was in the chase. Yeah, he didn't have a good day either. I saw him pretty deep in the field late. I actually forgot David Gilliland was in the chase also, but he didn't finish in the top 10. I'm just not used to seeing those guys, you know, because in real life, David Gilliland never made the chase. Neither did Kenny Schrader. I doubt Truex did in 2007, at least. Obviously, he'd later be a Cup champion eventually, but. All right. On to the community tab polls. So the first poll, I got to refresh the page. Hang on. So we need the updated version because the poll is not closed until now. 57 votes. Poll number 1, round 1. Sorry, 62 votes. Poll 1, round 1, between Tony Stewart, Paul Menard, Scott Riggs, and Kyle Busch. You guys voted for me to race as Tony Stewart of that group. So Tony Stewart will be moving on to round number 2. He had 44% of those 62 votes, 24% for Kyle Busch, 21% Paul Menard, and only 11% had Scott Riggs. I actually thought Scott Riggs was going to get a little bit more just because Lane's in the Truck Series now, but he still finished last of the 4. Landslide, easy win on the second poll for round number 1. Kurt Busch gets 58% of the votes. Denny Hamlin only gets 12%. 12% for Sterling Marlin, 19% had Robbie Gordon. So Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart will be together in round number 2. They will be joined with Ryan Newman, who wins his poll. 45% had Newman, 43% took Martin Truex Jr. That was the closest poll that we had of the ones opened yesterday. It came down to 2% difference, 53 votes. Only 6% took Mike Wallace or Joe Nemechek, who were the other voting options. So Newman, Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart move on, and Elliott Sadler will join them in that poll as well. Elliott Sadler gets 50% of 48 votes in his poll. 25% had David Rudiman, only 17% for Clint Boyer, and David Reagan with 8%. I honestly thought Clint Boyer was going to win that poll going into it, but you guys want Elliott Sadler, so a lot of Sadler fans out there. Poll number 5, round 1, Jeff Gordon pretty easily took this one. I'm honestly surprised. We played every EA game from NASCAR Thunder 2004 to now that I have not raced as Jeff Gordon yet because he has not been the top vote getter. As good as he is, you know, being a top, 4, top 3 potentially driver of all time in NASCAR, definitely top 5. I'm just surprised that he hasn't won any of these driver polls up to this point. But maybe this is the one. And obviously, this is a championship that got away from him in 2007, one of his best statistical years of his career. I think really outside of 1998, one of his best seasons ever. So maybe we get that long-lost 5th title on this season. But yeah, he ended up beating out Kenny Schrader, Casey Mears, and J.J. Yaley. He'll be in a different poll with some of the other winners from tomorrow, but I can guarantee that poll number 1 is going to be between... Poll number 1 for round 2, I should say, is going to be between Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch, Ryan Newman, and Elliott Sadler. And then Jeff Gordon will have some other contestants who we will have winning tomorrow's polls, which you can find out who ends up winning those at the end of tomorrow's stream at Dover. So I will get those uploaded to the channel within the next 30 minutes or so. I do have everything kind of sorted out, so it should be quicker after tonight's stream than what it was yesterday. Thanks for everybody tuning in. Be sure to hit the like button. Again, if you haven't done so yet, it helps these streams out a ton. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet for more NASCAR content on the daily. We do have commentary streams on the weekend for the real NASCAR races. Those will pick back up again on Saturday with Cup practice and qualifying Saturday afternoon. Xfinity Series race both at Dover. And then Cup racing at Dover on Sunday. More NASCAR await tomorrow, though, for Friday because the trucks are off this week. And Dover Race 2 of the Chase is upcoming. Have a good rest of your Thursday, everybody. See you tomorrow.